Good morning, everyone. We begin with the Merchant of Venice. We had read till the letter which Nerissa, dressed as the clerk, had come and brought with her. I hope till there everything is clear. She reads out the letter, which was for the Duke, telling that the famous lawyer Bellario would not be able to join, but instead he's sending a very able and capable person who's another brilliant lawyer, and the name of that lawyer was Balthasar. Now that lawyer, nobody else but Portia, who was dressed as Balthasar. She has disguised herself and she is ready, all set to go for the hearing. And we begin with the next conversation on hearing the letter. Now, what Duke says. Duke, you hear the learned Bellario, what he writes, and here I take it. Is the doctor come? So now the Duke says, yes, I have heard what Bellario had to say, what he has written, I have read it, and I take it. I accept what he has said. If he believes that the young lawyer is capable enough to deal with the case and has also sat with Bellario and has studied the case thoroughly, that I would give the young lawyer the chance, and that young lawyer's name is Balthasar. And he says, is the particular lawyer available now? Has the lawyer come? Now then, enter Portia, dressed like a doctor of laws. So then enters Portia, who's dressed like a lawyer in a black gown, in a black suit. She enters. Duke, give me your hand. Come you from old Bellario. So now Duke says, give me your hand. They want a handshake. And he says, okay, so you have come from old Bellario. That means old Bellario has sent you. Portia, I did, my lord. She says, yes, I have. Duke, you are welcome. Take your place. Are you acquainted with the difference in the court? So now the Duke updates him. Yes, you are welcome to the court. And I hope and believe that you are acquainted. That means you are fully aware of the differences between Antonio and Shylock, what exactly the case is all about. I hope you're aware of it. Portia, I'm informed thoroughly of the cause, which is the merchant here and which is the money lender. So now Portia says, yes, I'm thoroughly aware of the cause, why these two parties have gathered here. Now all I need to know is which one out of the two is the merchant and which one is the money lender. So Portia just says, I am aware about the case, but I just want to know the people by faces. So I want to know who's the merchant, that is who's Antonio, and who's the money lender, that is Shylock. Duke, Antonio and old Shylock both stand forth. So now Duke says, okay, Antonio and old Shylock, both of you please stand. Portia, is your name Shylock? Shylock, Shylock is my name. So she asks the name and Shylock says, yes, I am. Portia, of a strange nature is the suit you follow, yet in such rule that the Venetian law cannot impugn you as you do proceed. You stand within his danger, do you not? So now she says that you have taken up a very strange case, and the plea that you're following, the particular uh, call that you're making is really against the Venetian law. And how is it against? Because you cannot, by choice, uh, take up a life of another Venetian citizen. So you cannot impose any responsibility as such, which could endanger a person. So do you not know that? Do you confess the bond? So she asked, do you agree with the bond? Antonio, I do. So now she says, okay, Yeah, do you confess? Do you agree with what the bond says? So Antonio says, yes, I do. Portia, then must the Jew be merciful? So now she asks, okay, if Antonio is ready to abide by the bond, then let me ask Shylock, the Jew, that can't he be merciful? Can't he be kind? Shylock, on what compulsion must I? Tell me that. So now to this, Shylock replies, now can you tell me why is there a compulsion that I should follow this mercy? Why should I be following mercy? Why should I be kind to that other person? Do you have a strong reason? So now to this, Portia replies, and this reply, mind you, children, is very important. Please write there important. So she says, the quality of mercy is not strained. She's saying that the quality of mercy can never be forced on anyone. To be kind, that nobody can tell you to be kind. It is something from within. So nobody can force you that you should be kind. It drops as the gentle rain from heaven. Just as the rain, when falling from sky, soothes the earth, in the same way, the quality of mercy should be such that it should soothe all. To be kind is the greatest virtue upon the place beneath. And now, just as the gentle rain falls from heaven to the earth below, it is twice blessed. So while it happens, it is two times blessed. How? It blesses him that gives and him that takes. So now she's saying that the quality of mercy is blessed twice. If you are being kind, you are doubly blessed. How? Because the one who's being merciful is blessed, as well as the one to whom it is blessing this mercy is also blessed. That means both the giver of the mercy and the receiver of the mercy is blessed. So that is why the quality of mercy is like raindrops, gentle raindrops, and they are doubly blessed. That means twice they are blessed. Please switch off the please switch off the mic. It's disturbing. Check your mics and switch it off. Is mightiest in the mightiest. Now, the quality of mercy she's saying is mightier than any other thing. It is mightiest of all the mighty. Mighty means greatest. So, the quality of mercy is greatest of the greatest. It begins the throned monarch better than his crown. Now, she's saying that a monarch is a king. So now if the king sits on a throne, he will be called a king. But if he possesses the quality of mercy, it makes him really the owner of the crown. That means to have a responsibility where you are a king is already a good thing. But then if you are blessed with a quality of mercy, it is far superior than to have a throne. That means जिस सीट पे आप बैठे हो किंग की उसकी महानता और बढ़ जाती है वो किंग और महान कहलाता है अगर उसके पास मर्सी जैसी दया की जैसी भावना है ओके His scepter shows the force of temporal power. Now, a scepter is a kind of a sword or kind of a rod which symbolizes the king's, power. Now, how to tell you how it looks like? Scepter is, uh, जिसे कहते हैं ना, if you remember uh, the scene from Padmavat where, uh, mm, no, not exactly. Which movie to tell you? Scepter is a kind of a power. जैसे किसी भी whenever you are seeing a war scene, they carry a flag kind of a thing of their own particular party. That means one kingdom has a certain flag, then the other has a certain another flag. Now the holding of that flag on that rod is called the scepter. Okay, so now they are saying that the scepter it's an ornament staff carried by the rulers on ceremonial occasions as a symbol of sovereignty. So it is basically the sign of your power. So uh, Portia says here that his scepter shows the force of temporal powers. So now the person who's merciful has the scepter being more stronger. His scepter, the one who's merciful, his scepter turns out to be more stronger than just by holding that rod with a symbol that you belong to particular kingdom. So the scepter is a possibility or a show, a display of your power. Okay, the attribute to awe and majesty. Now, it is the biggest attribute, it is the biggest, divine quality to be awe, to be having a, majesty, all power and all position. So, if you're kind with all power and position, it adds to it. It's an added gesture, it's an added quality, wherein doth sit the dread and fear of kings. She's saying that just by being, scared of a king doesn't show that the kingdom loves the king. Just by the king being cruel or very authoritative and people look forward and follow him does not mean that the people love him as well. But the king who is merciful is loved by the people in the kingdom. So she's saying that just because you have a power, just because you are, mm, very dread, very fearful, very scary, and you are a king, people will automatically follow you. The kingdom people will definitely follow you, will obey you. But then they might not respect you. But if you have the quality of mercy, then the kingdom in general respects you and loves you for it. Okay. But mercy is above this sceptered sway. It is enthroned in the hearts of kings. It is an attribute to God Himself. So now she says, the king who is enthroned with a merciful heart, a kind heart. The one who's sitting on a throne is also blessed with mercy. Only that king turns out to be a real ruler and is really the king who has conquered hearts, who has ruled over the hearts of common people, who has taken away the hearts of the people. And it is an attribute which is closer to God. That means mercy is that quality which is very closer to God. Why? Because you all must have seen in your tough times, आप ईश्वर के आगे दया की भीख मांगते हो या ईश्वर से कहते हो कि हमारी रक्षा कीजिए, हमारे पर दया कीजिए, हमारे को देखे रहिए, हमें संभाले रहिए. मांगना हम किससे मांगते हैं? हम ईश्वर से मांगते हैं. Whenever we are asking, we ask from God. So now, if a king or a person or a normal human being can give what God gives, isn't it God-like quality? Now, God is merciful. We know He's very kind. But if a normal human being shows kindness, if he takes up the attribute which God possesses, is he not great as well? So, this is what she says. This quality of mercy is closer to the real nature of God. Even God cherishes this. An earthly power doth then show like God's when mercy seasons justice. So now she says, and the earthly powers, that means a common human being's power, not heavenly powers. She's talking of earthly powers, a common man's power. It turns out that the earthly powers turn out godlike. They show the quality of God's supremacy when the quality of mercy is also mixed up with justice. That means do everything that is right. This is what justice says. And mercy says, do it in a kind way. So now she's saying that mercy, if it is blended with justice, turns out to be the extreme godlike power available on earth. Okay, therefore, Jew, consider this that in the cause of justice, none of us should see salvation. Now she's saying that, dear Jew, you You should all be prepared that in the course of justice means in the course of this trial, when the justice would be given, none of us should see salvation. We do pray for mercy. So now she's saying it is not the repentance what we need. It is not कि हमें अपनी गलतियां ढूंढनी है, बल्कि हमें वो काम करना है which is correct, which is morally and ethically right. And that same prayer doth teach us all to render the deeds of mercy. And now she's saying that any other human being, whichever caste, creed, religion he or she might be, when they are praying, they pray in a tender language. They ask and they render the mercy qualities. You never, while you're praying, you never say कि ये मर जाए, वो मर जाए, or any curse. You don't curse while you're praying. So she's saying anyone, everyone who's praying is always acting in a deed of mercy. I have spoke thus much to mitigate the justice of thy plea. And she's saying, I have spoken well enough, and now I cannot uh, lessen up any further the justice which I plead for, which I ask for, which, if thou follow the strict court of Venice, must needs give sentence against the merchant there. And now she says, and if we follow the rules, the law of Venice, which is a strict one, must follow the sentence, follow the things that are given in the bond. But the quality of mercy could be given, and that could be given by whom? Shylock, the one who's asking for for 1 pound of flesh. Shylock, my deeds upon my head, I crave the law, the penalty and forfeit of my bond. Now he says, my deeds are in my head. I know what actions I have to do, and I have come to the court of law. I have come in front of the law so that I could get my penalty of giving 3,000 ducats to this man who could not fulfill the given criteria. And now, as the bond says, I should have 1 pound of flesh, and for this I have come here. Only this clause has brought me here. Is he not able to discharge the money? Portia now asks, is it that the man is not able to pay the money? Bassanio, yeah, twice the sum. If that will not suffice, I will be bound to pay it 10 times over. And I beseech you, wasn't rest once the law to your authority, to do a great right, do a little wrong, and curb this cruel devil of his will. So now, when Portia says, ki, is it that the money not available to be given to you? To this, Bassanio speaks up. He says, no, it is not that. The money is there, and leave that. I'm ready to pay twice the sum. That means double the amount. And if it is still not sufficient enough, I could pay 10 times what this person wants. Okay? But I beseech you. But then he says, but I assure you, I really want this, that this twist of this once the law of your authority, that means he shouldn't be twisting this authority, shouldn't be twisting the law. If he knows that now the money is available, he could easily take it and go. But this shows that he was more inclined for this bond. Why? Because he had deadly intentions. Now he says to do a great right, do a little wrong. Now he's saying just by doing a little right, that means he gave 3,000 ducats to us, and now he wants actually a big wrongful thing to be done to us and curb this cruel devil of his will. Now he says he wants that this devil, that means the Shylock Jew, he wants him that following the will is a cruel act, and this devil should be deprived of doing this evil act. Portia, it must not be. There is no power in Venice can alter a decree established. Now to this Portia says, there is no such law in the city of Venice where you can go against the bond which has been signed, which has been established A decree is a bond, a sealed bond where both the parties have agreed for a certain thing. So no law in Venice could break that. It is only if Shylock could show mercy, then it can be nullified. Otherwise, the bond which he has written and has been signed and sealed by both the parties in the law, the power of Venice, it cannot be changed. Shylock, a Daniel, come to judgment. Yea, a Daniel, O wise young judge, how I do honor thee. Now, Shylock thinks that this particular lawyer is talking on his behalf. So he says, ki, oh, yes, Daniel has come for justice. Now, in the Christian mythology, in Bible, Daniel is the rightful king. He's a person who was very always following the honest path. So he's saying, "Oh, look at him." She's here. Shylock is pointing towards Portia and calling her Daniel. She's saying, "Ki Daniel has come, and let the justice be given. You young judge, let the justice be given in my favor, because this bond, which Venice cannot deny, has been in my favor. Portia, I pray you, let me look upon the bond." Now Portia says, "I would like to see the bond, please. And may I have a look at the bond?" To this, she says, just a second. "Here it is, most reverend doctor, here it is." So now Shylock shows the bond to her and she sees it. "Portia, Shylock, there's thrice thy money offered thee." Now she's, for the last time after reading the bond, she's saying, you know, instead of 3,000 ducats, thrice the amount they could offer you. Now she's last time saying this. "An oath, an oath. I have an oath in heaven. Shall I lay perjury upon my soul? No, not for Venice." So he says, Shylock says, "No, a promise is a promise, and it was made in heaven. God को साक्षी मान के ये promise किया गया था. So now it cannot be taken away. The crime of lying in the court cannot be taken up by my soul. So please, uh, let the law of Venice be very firm in giving me justice that I need." We stop here for today. I hope this much is clear to each one of you.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll begin next time when we meet.